Okay, you guys, I've been asked to do a video on my 17 Fireball AR-15, and I built this, and it's a little bit of a Frankenstein build, but it works great, it shoots great. A lot of people have asked about this cartridge and an AR platform, and rightly so, and we'll get to some of that stuff. But here's what I'm shooting, here's what it looks like, and I'll just kind of go down the list of the different parts I used. So anyway, hope you enjoy it. Okay, first thing I'm going to talk about, you guys, is, and excuse me, this is just me and my phone. Like, I don't have fancy equipment. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that already. So I apologize for the audio. I apologize for, well, it just being pure crap. But I've had a lot of questions about this rifle, so I want to answer all those. So if I leave anything out, just put something in the comments or whatever. Okay, first things first, the boring part, the lower. I find these Palmetto State Armory lowers flipping fantastic for $149. This isn't their standard. This is what they call the EPT MOE lower. The EPT is because of this trigger. This trigger is the enhanced polished trigger. So it's a little bit smoother, a little bit lighter than just your typical mil-spec stuff. And we'll get into that here in a second about how it's still garbage, but it's better than what the alternative might be for Palmetto State Armory. But also the MOE is for the Magpul MOE stock. Magpul makes decent stocks. It locks into place pretty well. Obviously, it's a little loosey-goosey here, but it's not as nice as the one I have on my 6mm Mongoose. I can do a review on that one sometime too. But anyway, the lower is, it fits. Everything I have, any upper I used with it, fits tight, and I've always had good luck with it. Now, I always put these Hogue grips on there. There's a little bit of a swell in it, which I like. It's just way more comfortable. Obviously, 17 Fireball does not have a lot of recoil at all, but this does help with felt recoil a little bit, and just to control the muzzle end a little bit better. But overall, it's just more comfortable for me with those Hogue grips. So this trigger, I know a lot of people use these. This is kind of like the cheap man's way to take a crappy trigger and make it less crappy. Okay, I use these JP trigger spring kits on my triggers, and it's just lighter springs, and they're easy to change out. And for $14, you make I think this was like almost a 7-pound trigger. Again, the enhanced polished trigger does not make it lighter as much as it does just more crisp. So it doesn't have as much creep. Now, you can see that these are enhanced reliability, meaning that they used to have trigger springs that were really light, and I had an old set of these on one of my builds, and I wouldn't get great primer strikes. About 1 out of 50 would leave a dent in the primer but not ignite. So we go with the enhanced reliability. Now, I did this, we'll do the trigger and how much it is, but it's like I would guess maybe a 4.5-pound trigger. Okay, here we got the trigger gauge out, the Lyman trigger gauge. Everything's clear, everything's safe, and we're just going to start pulling here best we can to see what this trigger is set at. 4.8. Try number 2 here. 4.6. Third one for good measure. 4.65 for an average of 4.7 pounds. Not great, but I can tell you it's way better than what came with it. So that's pretty much it on the lower portion of this. Let me turn this around real quick. And so that's it. For the upper, I have an Arrow upper. Arrow makes good stuff. There's really no reason why I have an Arrow upper. I was just in Texas hunting hogs, and I was in a shop, and they had them for sale, so I bought one. It fits great. I mean, you can put all sorts of torque on here, and those lines are not going to, they're not going to change. Everything's tight in there. It's a stripped upper, so I have I can't even remember. I think M Carbo or whatever. I'm not sure where I got the dust cover and the forward assist button, but that all came, I ordered it. I want to say it was like maybe M Carbo. Maybe I got it from Prairie Arms. I don't know. But I also got this Strike Industry charging handle, which I like. I mean, it's a charging handle. But it does have an extension. As you can see, it's pretty nice, like a lot of them. And the bolt carrier group is a Toolcraft bolt carrier group. I really like it. It's the nickel boron. Here, let's see. It's the nickel boron finish, which is super smooth. You can run this pretty stinking dry. No issues. Feeding has not been an issue at all until we come to what the cartridge does in the mags, which we'll get to that in the end. Okay, continuing on, what we have here is a Dead Shot Barrels stainless steel 20-inch 17 chambered for 17 fireball barrel. It's a heavy contour, but these barrels are like $180, guys. And so I thought, well, I'm already doing kind of a cheap build. I love sub calibers. I have a 17 Remington that I really love. I have a 204 that I love. So I kind of gravitate to those things. With the price of powder, who doesn't like 4,000 feet per second with 18 grains of powder, right? So I got it. It shoots really well. I have a nice load for 20 grain VMAXs. I have a nice load for 25 grain hollow points for coyotes. But this mainly is a prairie dog rig. Although it is nice and light carry, I will take it on our river when we're calling coyotes or bobcats. It'll be perfect for both, especially the bobcats. So I really like that barrel choice. It's a carbine length gas system, and I have an Arrow adjustable gas block and an Arrow carbine length gas tube. I love the Arrow adjustable gas block. I have messed with it and it works, and they have a great video on how to adjust it. It has clicks, much like a rifle turret, scope turret. It has clicks, so you can keep track of how many clicks you dial left or right, clockwise, counterclockwise, I should say, and it just makes it super easy to get the gas just right. Okay, last thing I want to talk to you about, well, I guess two things. One, just my scope real quick. I mean, this is nothing fancy by any means, and this scope has been on probably every single one of my rifles. It is a Redfield Revenge. It's when Leupold took over Redfield and started manufacturing these. That is just, you know, paint scrape off. It's been used. I use my rifles, every single one of them. And but this thing is super durable and it's just been a go-to. It's kind of my do-it-all rifle scope. It's 6-18, which is perfect for the 17 Fireball. I have it on, I think this is a Nikon mount. I don't need a 20 MOA mount, that's for sure, but it bounces around my ARs quite a bit. So I have like a 6mm Mongoose that the 20 MOA it can shoot 1,000 yards. So, anyway, whatever. The scope is nothing super fancy, but I believe it's basically along the same lines as the the VX3s, maybe. I don't know, but I really like it, and yeah, it's kind of a workhorse. But the question a lot of people have is, how does a 17 Fireball feed in an AR? Well, it feeds really, really well. Again, I like my Toolcraft bolt carrier group. I think it works well. It's just super slick, and I don't have any feeding issues until you can see how much extra room there is in that magazine. This is not a very big cartridge at all. So as you shoot, sorry, I'm trying to get this focused. As you shoot, you know, the top one feeds in just fine, but as you shoot, the other ones start inching forward. So after a couple shots, you start having things look like this, right? Sorry, I can't get this to focus for some stupid reason. But anyway, there we go. And so you start having this, and about the 6th or 7th round doesn't feed real well, okay? Now, I'm not out there blasting away, right? Just one after another, okay? So about every 4 or 5 shots, I just take the magazine out, tap it, and, you know, they all slide back in just fine. Now I have a buddy with a 3D printer, and we're working on a design to where we can scoot these forward in the magazine a little bit, you know, maybe about a 1/2 inch or so that won't happen. So we're working on a design for that, 3D print something. But anyway, but the feeding's actually really nice. It's just that they don't make 17 Fireball or 221 Fireball specific magazines. If they do, somebody let me know, because I'll try them. But let me know if you have any other questions about this build or anything else. Again, I just throw crap on YouTube from time to time because I think it's fun to watch. And so anyway, if you have any questions, comments, or anything along those lines, just let me know, and leave them in the comments. And all right, thanks for listening.